Congratulations on the series to both of you. This one is an intense watch. Troian, first question for you. How did you prepare for this role? Because you seem so effortless, but this is a really tough character.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And it was challenging. We were super excited to jump in. It was a very fast process. I think from letting us know that we had the roles to shooting was 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think what was, we had to show up and behave as though you had gone through an academy and as though I had been in the field for 12 years. And so that was nerve-wracking. And I can still see, I won't say which scene it is so people don't look at it, but I can see the first day that we had and how just, I think like alert I was about being like, am I walking right? Am I holding myself right? Is this true to what would actually happen? Is this the procedure of things? Because there are a million different things that you must know instinctually by the time you get to where Traci Harmon is in her career, or even by the time you get to being a police officer, like Diaz on his first day on patrol. And so, yeah, there was a lot of work to be done in a short amount of time, but we had an incredible group of people who were really supportive and there for all of our questions. And yeah, and I was just grateful that we got to do it together, that I wasn't like alone.
That's awesome. And I think being alert absolutely lends itself, of course, to this character, to this role being in law enforcement. Brandon, for you, because this is such a visceral show, you really feel everything. And you talk about having to have gut instincts, Troy. And is there something, some sort of mannerism or anything from playing Diaz that you think you're now changed or maybe you do differently in day to day life?
I think it's just one of the biggest takeaways from playing Diaz is just how I view other people. I mean, this show does an incredible job at sometimes highlighting people during their worst moments, like either it's right after a car accident or either something a bit more traumatic, and understanding that we're all going through something, and to give people a little more grace. I mean, that's been one of my biggest takeaways. I want to go back to your point that you said earlier about like having to step into these roles. Diaz, it's almost like simultaneously while you're watching me learn how to be a police officer, Diaz is doing the same thing. So for me, it was a little easier. I want to give a lot of credit to Troy because she had to step into a role of a tenured officer, of somebody who walks and talks like a police officer, and to watch her do it effortlessly, in my opinion. I mean, I hope people watch and can see, because I'm sure there was a lot of hard work and that went into her preparation for it. And she didn't have much time to do so. So kudos to her, man.
Thank you.
I love the dynamic between your characters. I know it's really the heart of the series. I just spoke with Tim and Elliot. They talk about that. And one of the exchanges I love is when you're pop quizzing Diaz as a rookie and you're like, okay, I'm bleeding out. Where are we? I have a question from the Binge Club. Morgan wants to ask Troyan if you could only call one of your Pretty Little Liars co-stars in an emergency. Who would it be? Who's that person from PLL?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I would say hands down Shay Mitchell. She's the closest. We live very close to each other. She'd be able to respond, and B, yeah, I could count on her for sure.
Love that. Thank you so much for answering all of these questions and for your time. I'm so excited for everyone to see it on January 9th.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both of you on the series. I know it was quite a passion project, years in the making. And my first question for you, honestly, my heart was pounding throughout watching this.
Thank you.
When do you know you have struck the right balance of adrenaline that brings the viewer in, but also, I'm not gonna lie, there were times I was like, should I shut this off? I'm stressing, but it's so good, I can't stop watching it.
Well, don't shut it off,
Yeah,
please.
I don't think we ever really had a metric for that in terms of are we going too far. To be honest with you, our headline in the writers' room was always push it, keep pushing it, push it further and further and further. Don't be afraid.
I do think that, a lot of people will come for the action, but we also hope that they stay for the characters because the characters are the heart of this series. And I think what we take the most pride in is the relationship between Harmon, Diaz, and our ensemble of characters that are built over 8 half-hour episodes. You really feel like you get to know these characters, not only at what they do, but who they are as people, while never going home with them.
Absolutely. And I also want to bring up Wolf Entertainment is known for having these stories that are very grounded in humanity, as you mentioned, but also in real life events. So I'm wondering how much of this was inspired by what was happening maybe in 2020 and also in current time.
I think that the goal of the show is to be timeless in the sense that we are certainly not trying to convey any message or point of view so much as set the table for folks to watch this and have their own opinions. Our fondest hope is that people can watch this and have different opinions about any given situation that's presented. In terms of presenting those situations, we did a ton of research and have spent a lot of time in a police car with police officers in Long Beach, in the community, talking with the entire spectrum of folks that touch this world of law enforcement. And our goal then is to first and foremost entertain, but convey things that, or convey things as they are and let people have their own takeaways.
Yeah, we never wanted to take any kind of political stance or any kind of an agenda. I think other shows have done that already. We wanted to stand apart. And just as Elliot said, our goal was to entertain people first and foremost. And we did spend a lot of time with police and ride-alongs. And I would say 90 to 95% of the calls you see in the show are calls that we experienced ourselves or were told about from the officers we were with.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. I also have to ask if on-call occurs in the Wolf universe. So would we potentially see any crossover between Law and Order, Chicago, FBI? Got to know that one for the fans.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible. We are on the West Coast, so it's certainly a plane ride, but we're not ruling anything out.
Okay, I'll definitely hold on with bated breath. Congratulations on the series, both of you. It's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Congratulations on the series. It was stressful though, y'all. I almost turned it off a couple times because the suspense, but the cliffhangers kept me going. I'm wondering, Lori, for you, this character is so intense. How do you relate to Lieutenant Bishop?
Oh my goodness. I feel so lucky to be playing Lieutenant Bishop because it's a very different role for me. Eriq was very instrumental as our director, helping me build this character. I was very timid at first. I was very unsure of myself, and he was my cheerleader all the way, and really helped me find her strength and her voice. Said to me, she's an unapologetic character and you just have to own that, and kept pushing me in the right direction. And then once it all dropped in for me, it felt very liberating. And I just really thoroughly enjoyed playing that character.
You play her well. She is so intimidating. I can't wait to see more. I think I have 2 episodes left. But Eriq, I want to talk with you on that note of directing and acting and executive producing. What was it like to balance all of those different roles and wear the hats with this production?
A dream, first of all, a dream come true. I've been working with the Dick Wolf Camp for several years, like over 20 years. And they've always treated me well. They've always given me great opportunities. And when they came to me with this, and I read the script and was like, wow. So, jumped into it as a director and then simultaneously executive producer. And then the acting part came a little later because we were going to make another choice, and then they were unavailable, and I was like, oh, here's an opportunity to do the trifecta, and I had a ball. It was just one thing. I'm just as I push people around me, I push myself, or just as I push myself, I push other people around me. So I had a vision of what the Bishop role could be with Lori in it. And I just knew she just needed a little nudging. But I knew once she clicked into this amazing opportunity that it would be just a full plunge. And so I use that as an example because that's how I like to treat all the people around me, because when you give them something special, they will give you something special. And she did. She, as I love to say, she devoured the role, had such fun with it. And when you go to a DP and say, hey, we're going to give you an opportunity to shoot body cam, dash cam, drones. We're gonna give you an opportunity to do something different. Production designer, because all of our locations were practical. We didn't do anything on studio. So when you give people these opportunities to do something different and engaging, you get so much out of them. And so I make those same demands of myself, of saying, hey, if I'm going to do all three of these things, I got to pull it out of me in ways that I don't normally pull things, or have the opportunity to pull things out. So I try to be consistent with that.
I love that insight, Eriq, but you are offering this gift to the audience that is very binge worthy on January 9th. So, Lori, what snack or drink pairs really well with a binge session of On Call?
Oh my goodness, what snack or drink? Well, I'm going to go with my fave, guacamole and chips.
Love it. Now I'm going to be craving Mexican food today, especially while watching. That is a good suggestion. Thank you both for your time. I really appreciate it, and I'm so excited for you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations on the series. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. This project, we started before the SAG strike, and we were supposed to premiere it earlier. So all of us, I can speak on behalf. We've been waiting very patiently and anxiously, for the world to see what we created in Long Beach. So very exciting right now.
Have you gotten a chance to watch the show yet? And what did you think? Because personally, I've been telling everyone I've been so stressed out while watching it, but I had to keep going because the cliffhangers are so good.
Right. Well, thank you for that. And yes, I have been able to screen all episodes. My initial reaction actually was I had a lot of anxiety in the most positive way possible. And, we are bringing back the 30-minute half-hour drama, but it doesn't feel like 30 minutes. So, the minute it starts and you become like personally engaged in this other world, the cinematic world that we've created, you kind of lose track of time. And it's one of those, and I'm not saying it because it's my show and I'm in it and all this stuff, and that's why we're talking about it. I really start to forget about the element of time. And sometimes, we watch these streamers and they're a little bit shorter than they're supposed to be. And we get kind of irritated. We're like, oh my God, we got gypped a little bit, right? This half-hour drama feels like a full hour when you watch it, and I'm not exaggerating. So I remember that I just watched the first two episodes, and it was only an hour total for two, and it literally felt like 2 hours, like I had watched a movie, like a full feature already. Just because it's so engaging. Every episode, we don't finish and end a crime on every episode. It's a rolling theme, and so it just keeps you engaged. And right when the episode ends, it's like you got to see the next one. And so it was a big test for me because I know the show. I know the scripts. I read every episode. I did it, right? But then to watch it, it just brought me to a whole nother level. And, that's credit and respect due to our creatives and our editors for doing that.
I want to talk with you a little bit about the mediums in just a moment, because I think that's what really immerses you into the series and allows for that weird kind of feeling and relationship with time. But you mentioned you read all of the scripts for the show. That is so impressive, I think, especially as someone who's coming on as a recurring character in this series. You clearly did your homework. So I'm wondering, how did you prepare to play Koy?
Well, a lot of things, actually. One, the character has been a character I've manifested. I've always wanted to be a cop, a police officer in a Dick Wolf show. I typically in some of my other shows, I'm on the other side of the interrogation table is what I call it. So to be on the other side, the good side, let's say, right, for once, was very exciting for me just as an actor and knowing my arc. Tim Walsh and I have a great relationship, as well as Elliot Wolf. And Tim was very hands-on with me from the beginning of the casting process to the end of the season. And so with that, it was a lot of conversations with him. Even though I may not be in one of these episodes, he was telling me my backstory and what's going on during that episode. Again, it's 30 minutes, so there's only so much time we have that we can allocate to the storyline. Right. So while I'm being established doing one task, you may not see me in the next episode, but it's because I'm working on that task you already we already discussed in that previous episode, right? So when I come back the following episode, it's like it's the same day and maybe the next day, but you don't lose the continuity and the chronology of what's going on. So that's the reason why I had to be on point with every script, even though I may not be in this episode, right? Because I needed to know exactly what was going on, what Troian and Brandon were doing character-wise, how Eriq and Lori were coming in and out, and affecting the plot, so to speak. But as far as preparation, Long Beach PD, shout out to them. They were gracious enough to give us the ride-alongs and really give us an inside look to Long Beach, California, and certain areas. Having grown up in the South Bay, I feel like it's in my backyard. So to me, it wasn't too much of a stretch. It wasn't too much of a foreign environment. I know Long Beach pretty well, but to get that front seat in a unmarked police vehicle going through certain neighborhoods and seeing just the vast demographic, landscape. That's the thing that I'm so excited about this show. The world really hasn't seen Long Beach. They've seen Los Angeles a lot, right? They've seen the Hollywood sign. They've seen everything from Malibu to, downtown LA, but no one's really seen Long Beach or experienced it, and again, being a native of the South Bay, I'm so proud to finally bring that to the screen and to show just the range that zip code, that community has. As far as tactical training, we had great advisors and tech advisors on set. I was able to spend some time over at Terran Tactical, who is responsible for doing all the military and police training for all movies like John Wick. And so, Terran got me dialed in and really comfortable, actually using one of his personalized custom weapons on the show. So it was just a lot of things that came together in the most organic, natural way, and really felt comfortable during the prep, during the shoot, and obviously, in post watching it all happen.
It's so cool to hear all of this background. It makes me even more happy for you to get this role and to get this series. And there are a million things I want to talk about with you, but can you describe what it's like to be on the set? Because we mentioned the different mediums. There's dash cam footage, there's drone footage, there's body cam footage. Right. How did that change your perception at all and your experience on this set?
Yes, it did. First of all, just shout out to our crew because, we talk about those different cameras like they're easy, right? But there's so many different rigs, there's so many different manipulations you have to do, there's so many angles we have to capture. And when you see the final edit, it just flows so continuously that you feel like you're literally in the chase, so to speak, So, that, as well as, like I mentioned, our police advisors, Tim and Elliot, they did so much prep and so much research and brought so much realness to the set that it wasn't too difficult to tap in. You know what I mean? Like the minute you show up, from the extras to the geographic locations that they were able to lock down for us in Long Beach, like we shot everything in Long Beach. So it wasn't like we were shooting in a studio for Long Beach or we're shooting in LA. It was 100% LBC. Like we're on those bridges, the pier, the docks are right there. You see the trucks coming by going to the shipyards. All that just provided such a great environment. And with my craft, I'm all about environment, and so it really affects me. I'm like a sponge. And and shout out to like all of our actors. I always say this, it's the most mature set of actors and artists I've ever been able to work together with on something. Everyone shows up. I feel like everyone's been there, so to speak, already. Everyone knows their job. As heavy as the material is, it's a very light, very family set environment, which was great to have that dynamic, when you're shooting. But being around Troian and Brandon, Eriq, Lori, they're so professional. There's so many veterans, among the five of us, and it just really helped us just settle in, and it didn't feel like work, and that's always the greatest feeling when you can go to work and it never feels like that. So, and shout out to Troian, like she's our number one. She's our captain, and she's fantastic, and I wouldn't want anyone else to follow. So.
I love hearing about that family element. Really quick before you go, this is very binge worthy. So as you're watching, as you're binging, is there a snack or drink that pairs really well with On Call?
Oh, I'm a popcorn guy. You know what I mean? So I know it's so like boring, but popcorn, butter, you know what I mean? That's my go-to. I mean, I bring a little Hawaii element. I put some kakimochi and some furikake on it, and I mix it up. And I think they call it
Yes.
here on the mainland like hurricane popcorn or something, but that's my go-to all the time. So definitely grab that, sit back, enjoy the 8 episodes. You guys are gonna love it.
That's not boring. It's classic. And I love the furikake. Thank you so much for your time and congratulations again.
I appreciate it. Thank you.